I recently posted a video entitled Access Denied, during the first part of which I was bemoaning the fact that my nearest local lake, Padnall Lake, had been entirely cordoned off to the public, with no access whatsoever except across a bridge, giving partial views along the length of the lake. But I reached out to one of the companies that was involved in the works there, and they responded, and they very kindly arranged for me to go for a private visit to see what was going on at the lake and what was going to be happening to improve the lake for the local residents, and hopefully also make it good for the local wildlife as well. I didn't actually shoot any video on the day. This was actually the day before Storm Eunice came through, so it was pretty windy, but I did just take a few photos, and I had a lovely chat with Paul Hart, who is part of Murphy Group Construction, and I do have to say a big thank you to Chloe Dennington, their community liaison officer, for arranging for me to have this private visit. So let's have a little look at these photos, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on. The Padnall Lake area sits along the southern edge of the Marksgate housing estate, which itself occupies the northernmost portion of the London Borough of Barking and Dagenham. The lake itself occupies the western third of the development area. I have filmed here on several occasions, but I've never looked into the history of the lake. Checking on an old map, which was revised in 1938, I found no sign of the lake at all. Padnall Grove and Padnall Hall were occupying most of what is now the lake. Looking at some of my existing footage, we can see from the western end here plenty of signs that this is a man-made lake. And here behind the coots we clearly see the pre-formed perforated concrete banking. With a little online searching, I soon learned that the Marksgate estate was built around the late 1950s, and that the lake was created at the same time to serve as a flood storage basin, forming an important part of the local land drainage system. So it is an entirely man-made feature. But where there's water, you'll get wildfowl. So let's fast forward to 2022. The lake had been completely cordoned off to the public while major re-landscaping is carried out, and I was keen to find out when the cordons were likely to come down, so I shot an email off to Be First London, and to cut a long story short, I was subsequently invited to visit the site and see the progress firsthand. So on a rather windy day in mid-February, in fact the day before Storm Eunice blasted through, I was taken round by contracts manager Paul Hart from Murphy Group Construction. We were accompanied by site manager Christos Mamaloudis and their community liaison officer Chloe Dennington, who had helped to set up the visit. Paul explained that they are damming off and draining 1/3 of the lake at a time to remove much of the accumulated silt from the bottom, which, it turns out, at 60 centimetres or 2 feet thick, was 4 times deeper than the initial survey by a third party had suggested. As each section is drained, a fisheries contractor is employed to relocate fish to the adjacent section or sections of the lake. Paul said he would let me know when the next phase of fish relocation is due to take place, so that if I'm free I might have the chance to witness that firsthand. At the time of my visit, only the western third of the lake had been drained and defished. To my surprise, I was informed that they had not found any non-native terrapins in that section, which I have seen on several occasions at that end. I guess they must have scarpered up the eastern end while the dam was being put in. As well as desilting the bottom, they are also clearing away all of the waterside shrubs. Something Paul could tell I wasn't very comfortable with, especially as it was in one of those very shrubs that I'd got my best ever photo of a kingfisher only a few weeks earlier. In their place there will be some large rock-filled metal cages sunk into position, the tops of which will be dressed, I guess with topsoil or such like, and then wild flower mix sown. The intention is also to include some water lilies out in the lake. As for the island at the eastern end, that has been largely cleared of vegetation, except for a couple of mature trees which are being left in place. This photo shows the floating pontoon they are using to access the island. Despite all the works going on, some wildlife is proving surprisingly tolerant. There are still quite a few Canada geese on the lake, along with the Canada greylag hybrid I've filmed and photographed here before. And I also saw some mallard and a couple of moorhens. It cannot be denied though that this is a massive upheaval and disturbance for the wildlife here, and there is understandably a good deal of anguish being felt and expressed by local residents at the present state of Padnall Lake. But it's a work in progress, and works in progress, especially on this sort of scale, are invariably messy. Also, I think it's important that we remember that this lake is a relatively recent and man-made feature, with a primary function as a flood storage basin. Nevertheless, its secondary functions as a recreational and relaxation location and as a wildlife habitat are, to me and to many locals, no less important. So a big thank you once again to Chloe, to Paul and to Christos for taking me around the site and showing me what's going on, and hopefully I'll get the chance to go back and see the next phase of fish relocation, and I've never done fish before, so that would be good. Anyway, you stay safe, stay sane, stay curious and keep enjoying the wonders of nature where you are.